excited today. You know, 'tis the season for graduation, school's getting out, all kind of cool stuff going on. We've got 2 kids, their last day today, but we just wanted to show y'all and brag on Jesus a little bit with one of our favorite families, the Benjamin family. They've been connected with Redemption Fellowship for probably over a decade now.
Yep.
Yes, part of the Sons group with Pastor Ron, but also Pastor Jamie and his wife are overseers for the West Coast and our international region. And it's awesome. They are such a blessing and amazing people. And so we wanted to talk to them. They have 4 girls. They've raised 4 world changers, 4 college graduates, and there's some cool stuff they're going to tell you in just a minute. But will y'all help us welcome the Benjamin family?
Hello, 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 hello. Blessings, everyone.
Pastor Jamie, I mean, obviously, the fellowship family knows you guys, but can you help them by introducing your 4 lovely daughters right here?
Yeah, for sure. So my wife Pam and I, we've been married for 23 years, and we have 4 daughters. Precious, who's the oldest, she is 22 and be 23 in September. She is just finished up her first year of her master's program at Fuller Theological Seminary in Phoenix. And then Jasmine, she is our second oldest. She is 19, and she just finished her first year for her undergrad at Grand Canyon University in Phoenix. And then the twins, Crystal and Diamond, they are 18, 1 minute apart, 9:25 and 9:26 a.m. So they're 18. They just graduated there, and they're also headed to Grand Canyon University with their second oldest sister, Jasmine, and so they'll be starting there in August. So that's about our family.
I think that wraps it up.
Yep.
That's really cool. We appreciate that. And I do have to say to the twins, I did watch your latest video with all the outtakes. It was pretty fun to watch.
Love it.
And I think
Personality.
all of the RF family should go check them out.
Yes.
They got a yes, if you want it. So, but it was entertaining. Look, I deal with high school and college students on a daily basis with what I do. And it's just a testament to hard work, dedication, and competitiveness as well for what all you guys have accomplished. But we always say this, we know fruit doesn't fall far from the tree. And so the amazing things that you guys have done, you got to get it from somewhere, right? So I'm always that type of person that thanks my parents and tells them, you know, how great they did and all that stuff. What would you guys say to your parents right now about the accomplishments that you have?
It's like, which one first?
So Mom and Dad, I just want to thank you guys for being patient with me. It is my first time becoming a young adult. It's your first time parenting a young adult. And so I know that the journey has been frustrating at times, confusing at times, but the fact that we've all been patient with one another and trying to understand one another has been really, really great and really, really helpful. So I thank you guys for that.
Awesome.
Oh, really? Okay. I just say thank you for your persistence. Obviously, you know, since you guys are parents, you know what's best for all of us. So I thank you for not letting us like go down the wrong path, but kind of guiding us to what you think is best for us. And so I just thank you for that love and continuance of guidance for our lives. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yes.
I want to thank you for believing in us more than we believe in ourselves, and having faith for us, because honestly, for Valedictorian and Salutorian specifically, you guys believed in that more than we did. We're like, nah, we're probably not going to get it, but you guys really believe in us, and you pushed us to do things that even that at first we don't want to do, but because we pushed it, we came out greater and stronger. So I thank you guys for that. I want to thank, sorry, I don't know what to say. I want to thank you guys for being so transparent. You know, like ever since we were younger, you guys didn't like, not everything was good all the time. And so I'm grateful that you guys showed us that. And so like we could grow up humble always and recognize the good and the bad. And so I thank you guys for that.
You're welcome, ladies.
You're welcome.
So,
And why don't you get him to tell a little bit about their special accomplishment that just happened that never happens, right?
yeah, because there's only one valedictorian in every school, and there's only one salutatorian in every school across the country or the world or whatever. But you got two in both families. So tell us a little bit about I guess probably the lowest percentage things that can happen in a high school is sisters getting valedictorian and salutatorian. Tell us about
Wow.
Well, Crystal, as she stated earlier, is Vail Academy's valedictorian, and Diamond is salutatorian. But I want to back up with something. In our family, we always say that my husband, whatever he says, like, careful what he says, because it comes to pass.
There you go.
And that week before, they were talking about these iPhones that they just had to have. Our family was a Samsung family, and they just went rogue on us, you know. And so he said, okay, in order for you guys to get these iPhones, because they had other things they wanted too, he said, in order for you to get the iPhones, I got to have number 1 and number 2 in my house. And they were like, wait, what about 1 and 3? He's like, no, I have to have 1 and 2 in my house. And God knows, next Tuesday, the principal calls us, you know, and he's like telling us that they're, you know, valedictorian, salutatorian, and I'm all screaming on the phone, and then I take the phone to them for him to tell the girls, and they're screaming, saying, we're getting iPhones. Their whole mindset. It wasn't even about, like, it was like, yes, we got that accomplishment, but we're getting our phone, you know. And so one thing with, like the girl said, at our house, as far as the valedictorian, salutatorian, you know, we aim to go high. You know, if we know that you can accomplish it, we want you to accomplish it. You know, and during this whole COVID thing or whatever, you know, the girls never stopped doing work. They never, you know, stopped doing their Zoom, even when it was just them and one other student on. You know, they were persistent, you know, to do their work and to give their all, and that was the outcome.
It was. I mean, you mentioned about how once everything went virtual, online for them, I mean, it was really an honor to see them work so hard,
right,
just like they would have been in school.
Yes.
And they have all these Zoom sessions all day with their teachers, and the teachers, you know, writing and all these graphics, and they're just digging into it. And so it was certainly a combination of God's favor and their labor.
Yes.
God's favor and their labor created this, and we're just thankful parents for it.
Yes.
Well, let me ask you this. Obviously, like you said, they labored and you have God's favor, but there had to be some kind of environment that was set to produce this. How do you, because we're learning, right? I've got 3 and I want them to be just like them, right? So how do I set this environment in my house that produces this?
Yeah, man, that's a great question, Brian. I mean, you know, I'll say a couple things, and then certainly, love, please jump in. You know, your kids are at the perfect age right now. They really are. Sometimes as parents, we make the mistake of getting better later. As parents, we have to get better sooner.
Right.
And as our kids are young, as they're toddlers, and as they're coming up into the, you know, 10, 11, 12 age, whatever rhythm you can create with them while they're younger, that rhythm will begin to take on and become its own momentum for them, whether you're present or whether you're not. And, you know, my wife and I, you know, during most of their middle school and high school years, we traveled a lot. And that's really probably the biggest miracle in this, is that there were times that, you know, we were gone or not there. I mean, I was in the military for a period of time. I was in the U.S. Army, and I was deployed to Iraq and Kuwait. And, you know, my wife was really holding down the responsibility of both mom and dad, I mean, for years, not months, but for years. And so for us to see some of the productivity that is happening now, I attribute a good bit of that to the rhythms that we created and that we started with them when they were much younger, as far as their study habits, as far as their hobbies, as far as the prioritization of when they do come in from the school, and then also the partnership between the school faculty and us as parents. We don't just send our kids to school for 8 hours and say, you do what you want with our kids or whatever. I mean, my wife, she volunteered a lot at the school. I would go and volunteer. Sometimes I would just go and literally, I mean, Brian, dad to dad, brother, I would go in the classroom and just stand in the back of the classroom. I mean, that's all I would do. The teacher knew I was coming. I'd just stand in the back, and I'd be there monitoring, watching, observing, right? And it created such a level of respect, though, with the faculty and with the teachers.
Yeah, all that is so true. Communication is key. As my husband said, for our strategies and rhythm. When the girls were little, I remember when he first went to Kuwait, and the twins were babies. The twins were babies. Jasmine was like 1.5 or 2. Precious was about to go into kindergarten or whatever, and I had a family meeting. We are big on family meetings.
Yes, that's good.
I had a family meeting with all these little kids, and it went like this. Listen, it's 4 of you guys, and it's 1 of me. So you guys gonna have to communicate. Like if you're hurting, you need to cry, you need to do something, because I'm not about to play genie. I'm not the play, but you need to communicate. And so from then, we've always had family meetings. We've always communicated. We celebrate one another. We support one another. And another thing that that we do different from other parents, I would say, is that we're not proactive. We're preventive. Like they had like field trips that was going like out of state or out of town or something like that. If I see at school that things are not functioning right, yeah, my child is not going out of state and I not be there. And somebody's like, oh, I'm sorry, this happened. No, we're not about to have that happen. I'm going to be there, because some things you can't get back. Right. You have to learn from when you were growing up. That was a big thing for us. We learned from the mistakes that we may have made, our parents may have made, teachers or whatever, and we applied that thing. It wasn't a thing out of fear. It was a thing out of, okay, we have this history, we have this knowledge. What are we going to do with it? And so a lot of our training with the girls was off of knowledge that we already knew. It wasn't like, oh, I wonder how this is going to happen. Oh, we know if you go down that road, what's going to happen. And then with the communication thing, we wasn't like, no, or don't do that, or don't. It was a conversation. We explained why this may not be the best thing to do. And we gave information according to that level. Like when Jasmine went to college this past year, I had my whole college conversation with her about things that I experienced in college, things that I wish I could have did different, things that were great and stuff like that, so she could learn from those things. And I think a lot of times parents are not transparent with their kids. They just show them, oh, look at me, I have succeeded or I have accomplished whatever they accomplished, but they didn't talk about their struggles along the road. And so it makes the children, it's difficult for kids to think they could fail or anything or get back up because parents haven't shared their mistakes with their kids.
Wow, that is great.
Really good. That's really good. Man, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. Well, and too, on the same note, like from the girls' perspective, like what were some stuff your parents did that you're so thankful? Like you might have hated it then, but now that you're older, that you're like, man, thank God my parents did this.
Reverse it, yeah. We're reversing it. I don't know, explain it, but like not letting us do certain things or go out with certain people. Like we're not really the type to go to parties that much or like hang out with our friends all the time. I'm kind of grateful for that, seeing how not seeing how they turned out or anything, but like, because they weren't even real friends anyway, so like, fine. But like, I'm grateful for that because we would have been totally different people if we went out with these other friends and things like that. So I'm kind of grateful for that.
Yeah.
I think something great that they did is that they kept us in church. I know everyone always says like, oh, I gotta bring my kids to church. Like, I'm telling you, they tell stories all the time. We were in church, like, I don't even remember, like we were kids, like we were literally so young, and they just kept us exposed to greater people because you can't be greater until you're exposed to it. Yeah, sure. So like them allowing us to be part of their journey, obviously owning a church, letting us go to like meeting and stuff like that caused us to be like, okay, well, this is something that we can accomplish, or to see things that maybe they messed up in. It's like, okay, they messed up and they're okay with it. They're transparent to the people that they lead. So I think that was really, really good.
I got to say the school that we went to, because like my dad said, like, obviously you're in school for like 8 hours of a day, and like a lot of times for some families, like you're at school more than you're with your family. And so I think that was very important that they didn't just send us to a school that we live close to, but it was actually a school that had a good foundation, like good teachers, like a good atmosphere, good curriculum. So that kind of led us to kind of where we are now, and as far as like things that we know and things that we want to know. So yeah, I think that kind of school foundation, because I mean, think about it, that's like kindergarten all the 12th grades, it's like your whole like childhood. So I think that was a very good decision.
Yeah.
Y'all like took everything I was gonna say.
Yeah.
You were like a longer than me. I know. Like, dang. But to say something different, definitely agree with everything that they shared. I think one of the biggest things, and I think Mom touched on this a little bit, was like when they pushed us to do things that we may not have like wanted to do. I know we were all a part of FBLA, Future Business Leaders of America, and let me tell you, there were some times where like we did events and I was like, I don't want to do this event. Just let me do the job of the event and I'm good. No, try this one, do this one. And I'm like, Mom, like I'm good with one. Like this is fine. No, diversify, do these different ones. And I'm like, okay. And then ended up placing in all of them. So I'm like, okay, well, Mom,
Fine.
thank you.
Fine,
Thanks.
whatever.
I appreciate it. Sorry for going back. But yeah, so definitely those pushes. So sometimes you're like, oh, like I really don't want to do this. But then in the end, it was like, okay, well, I'm glad I had that push. Let me know that I had more inside me than I realized.
Yeah.
Good job, ladies.
I know you guys are glad to hear some of that stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
because I know when I told my dad, and I had the same story, like I was thankful my dad didn't let me do things.
Mm-hmm.
Because he knew that God had this plan for me and he wanted to make sure I walked it out.
Yeah.
I feel like you guys are kind of saying the same things. For the twins, I got a question. Because my kids are kind of close in age. My two oldest are kind of close. And so being valedictorian and salutatorian, I want to know, was there any competition there?
Mm.
No competition. Listen, that is like the hardest thing. That's a good question because honestly, as twins, everybody expects everything to be a competition because like, I don't even know, everything we do, everyone thinks it's a competition. Honestly, we didn't really like.
You wanted it more than like,
Yeah, I wanted. She didn't want it. Like she didn't want to be.
I don't like being recognized. Like,
yeah. We're not like, oh, put us in the forefront. Like we want to be seen. Like no, not really. I wanted it since like sophomore year, the summer sophomore year. I was like, you know what? I kind of want to give a speech. Like I kind of want to do that because I like to talk. So I was like, you know what? I'll do it. And I told her, she's like, okay. I was like, oh, cool. But there wasn't really any competition. We just been doing everything together for our whole life, obviously. Yeah. So like our grades,
it's more of a partnership.
Yeah, it's more of a partnership than a competition. Like our grades are pretty similar, except like literally it was like by 0.03 of a point in our GPA. So it wasn't really like, oh my gosh, like a whole grade point average. I don't know. But as long as we like recognize like, yo, we need each other more than we need other people to have us compete against each other because we have to flow together for us to achieve anything. Yeah. And that goes for like not just school, but like for our sports and extracurriculars. I was like, yo, there's some subjects she's better than me at some things. There's some things I'm better at her. So we just help each other and we just flow together. Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely a partnership more than a competition for us. Like we help each other with certain subjects. Like she said, like she's better at soccer, I played basketball, and then she played basketball. Like it just like intertwined. It wasn't really a competition. It was like a duo type thing.
And I love what your mom said about how y'all cheer each other on and how you guys support each other. And then it's not everybody, gets cheered on. It's not any one person that gets all the love.
But if it's not competition, which is great, I like the fact you're teammates in a lot of ways, right? If it's not competition, like what drives you? I know you say you play basketball and you watch that Michael Jordan documentary, like what drives you? Like, what's the motivating thing? If you're teammates, like what is it?
That's good.
I personally set an expectation for myself, and then it ends up being like some expectation. But I like considering the fact that I have a high expectation for myself, I'll put in the work, and then she has a high expectation for herself, and so she'll put in the work as well. It's because I don't know how to explain it. Because we're twins.
You share half the brain.
Yeah, so we kind of do the same thing, but like it's because I don't know. My expectation for myself is pretty high. It's not like because they have high
expectations for me, obviously, but like I want to succeed a lot as well for myself and for God's glory, of course. But that's kind of my motivation. I don't know. Mine's sort of the same thing, obviously self-motivation, but like once you realize all the things that like not your parents expect of you, but like all the things that, you know, God calls you to, like who God calls you to be, you're like, yo, I can let God down. Like, yeah, like I'm like, if people want to, like, if I'm going to succeed with God on my side, and not just because like the world makes me succeed, but I want to just have myself at a higher level, just people be like, oh, is that because of you? I'm like, oh, it was my God, it's whatever that. But just because of the expectation of myself, because I know that I'm called to higher and greater things, so I want to do that. Yeah,
That's some good stuff.
Well, here's a question for your parents. So what, obviously raising, you know, being, I can't remember how many years you've been pastoring. Is it 16?
Actually, it's about 16 years that we've been pastoring, yes.
Okay, that was it. I remember y'all had to get but well, tell us, like, what was your strategy as far as having kids in church and trying to do your best to make them not hate church and drag them to church and make sure they still love Jesus and like coming to church? Did y'all have anything that y'all really tried to be intentional about with that?
I think for regarding that, once again, going back to learning from your past, I was a PK. I am a PK because my mom is still a pastor. I know the things that drove me crazy, right? Because with us growing up, it was, come on, let's go, you know? And so it was out of a task and not out of a relationship. And so with the girls, we wanted to make sure they had their own personal relationship with God. So when they're going to church, it's not because mom and dad told me to go, it's because they desired to go. And so now, like, they remind us when it's time to go to church. They remind us when it's things to do because of their relationship that they have with God. When we have different things going on, going back to that whole family meeting thing that we have, you know, we've discussed the schedules. Okay, what things we have going on, what things they may have going on. Some things they may have had clashing, you know, with church events. Like, for example, one year I didn't make it to 212 because we had, well, actually it was 2 years in a row because we had prom one year and then we had senior trip for Precious another year. And yeah, you left. Yeah, we left. Yeah, left early for one because the thing is, we don't want to seem like their stuff does not matter. You know what I'm saying? You know, you only could get, you know, 1, maybe 2 proms in your life. You know, we're gonna be going to church every Sunday, every Wednesday. You know, and so we don't want them to, you know, hate church because of the things they didn't get a chance to do that was healthy. You know, and so I think that was the thing. We had a great balance. Now, when it came to Wednesday and basketball practice, that was different because they had practice all throughout the week. And so it was like one day out the week is not going to kill you guys for them not to be there because they're doing their stuff. But this day, they're going to be with the Lord. And so we just did a great balance with that.
Yeah, that's good. So I love this question. And I'm telling you, we gotta, oh man, we gotta just have more time to spend and talk about this stuff because it's so real and it's so good. And you know, babe, you know, you talk about, you know, what we've done really from when they were small, when they were younger. I would add to that yeah, we didn't drag them to church, but I think one of the reasons that they were wanting to be in the house of the Lord and wanting to be with their mom and dad is because they saw joy in their parents in doing what they were doing. Now you really think about that for a moment. We all know the man, just how taxing leading can be, period. But nonetheless, when you're talking about the household of faith and a local church, and then, you know, community involvement and regional involvement and all these things, and you can get in the habit to where you come home and you're just complaining about all that you're doing and what's happening in the church and this and the other. And what I think what parents do sometimes inadvertently is they begin to stifle their children and push them away. And they may be just venting. They may be just, you know, and so their children don't get to see the joy in their parents leading and serving. And so I think our children, oh man, I don't want to preach. Lord have mercy. I think our children saw, man, I think they saw joy. They saw joy in us, and they saw us enjoying doing what God called for us to do. And so because they saw that joy, I think it did something inside them, so it wasn't a hassle.
Right.
You know, it wasn't a hassle for them to be in the house of the Lord. And so as they were even, 12 and 13, they were already beginning to serve and teaching the younger class. And they were on the worship team, I think, at 11. I mean, they were singing.
Yeah.
And so it went from going to church to being a part of the church to actually serving in the church. And we're just so grateful for that. And we have a lot of pastor friends that we talk with, and that they encourage us and we encourage them. And there's many that don't have that story that they can say some of what we're saying here today. And we're so grateful for that. But let me also say one or two other things around, raising them and them being in the house of the Lord all these times. My wife talked about us explaining to them. We had conversations with them, and we, even when church is over, I mean, even to this day, right now, we come home and we debrief. We debrief together as a family. Hey, what happened in church today? What did you get? What did you like? What happened? What did God say? What did God do? What can we do better this time or next time? And we've been doing that since they were 3 or 4, and we're still doing that same thing now. And that's another key thing. Parents, you can't change and then not expect your children to change. If you change and stop being as committed or stop being as focused on certain things, then they would do the same thing. So we kept that same thing there. And then lastly, and this is maybe more on the spiritual side, but I can remember because the twins and Jasmine are only like a year and a half apart, not quite. So at one point in time, we had 3 kids in diapers and pull-ups at the same time. 3 kids that were in like baby seats, at the same time. And I can remember having prayer on Saturday morning at the church, and we would bring out the 3 youngest, Jasmine, Crystal, and Diamond, and we literally would sit them in the middle of the intercessory prayer, in their baby seats, sometimes with their bottles, sometimes with a little toy, but we would sit them in the middle of intercession. And the intercessors would be there for an hour, sometimes 2 hours, and our kids would be right there in the middle the entire time. And I can't tell you practically what that may have done, but I know some spiritual things were torn down and built up in them during those times.
Yeah.
And Precious was the deep one, standing with the intercessors.
Standing there with them for prayer, yes.
Awesome. I know I've learned a lot just by this few minutes of just some nuggets here and there on it, and how to apply it to our family. So I really thank you guys for what you've done. But ladies, I got one more question for you. And I know a lot of people are going to ask the same thing. What's next? Like, I know all 4 of you are now enrolled in college. You know where you're going, and you're already there, but
one's out, right? We got one of you guys already graduated college, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But what's next? Like, what are the goals? What's the vision?
It's awesome.
Sure, I guess. I guess I'll stay. But I think I've heard this from, I don't know if it was from my dad, from my uncle, but one of them said about how you have to position yourself with destiny. And so I think that's kind of just been my motto, like, for everything. So, like, as of right now, like, I'm going to my 2nd year of college. And so I want to continue to make sure that, like, I'm taking the classes I need to take in order to also, I'm majoring in education. So I want to make sure that I'm doing everything I need to do to get to that goal, and to whether that means getting a master's or getting a doctorate degree, and whether that means I'm looking into something for, like, the, what's called the church aspect, the like,
ministry?
Yeah, ministry, that's right. Like, whether it means like being like a pastor or like a youth teacher, something like that. But just positioning myself for that, and not like losing my focus for whatever it is that God has me to do next.
So I'm, same major, right? Yeah. Okay. I'm majoring in business. I don't know if I'm going to do business financials or business communication yet. and I'm going to minor in worship arts. Like I said, we are in the praise worship team. I really, really feel God's presence when I sing. So hopefully I can do something with that. But as far as future goals that I have is just to help people and encourage people to just live a better life. I mean, it's kind of general, but honestly, there's a lot of things, and ask my parents, that I want to do when I'm out of college, and a lot of businesses I want to do, and like speaking and stuff like that. And I just want to have God use my voice to encourage his people and tell them that there is more to life than just what the world has to offer. So, yeah. That's funny. No, but God called me to the film industry. Just thrown out there. But like, what's next for me is just gaining, like, learning and getting the resources that I need to fulfill his calling for me, as well as encourage other people. That's something that also he wants me to do for young adults as far as, and the youth. So yeah, what's next for me is going to college, majoring in film, minoring in business, because that's going to be my calling later. But I'm also doing like another, you guys said you guys watched the video apparently, but I'm doing a YouTube channel. It's called Light Work, and it's basically going to like encourage people. And so tune in for that, because that's a big thing that God placed in my that's a big thing that God put in my heart for me to do. And so my goal is to ultimately just bring a light to the world, because I feel like that's a big thing that he has for me, since he named me Diamond. And that's like, you know, everyone says shine bright like a diamond. So I'm like, okay, I need to bring light to people. I need to encourage people. I need to show them that, you know, God's love for them is real, and that's amazing. That's overwhelming. That was long, sorry, but yeah, that's
Okay. So good job, guys. Thank you. So for me, especially now that I'm at the point of life where I'm like in the half, kind of like midway point of my like education, I graduated my undergrad in counseling. Now I'm getting my master's in marriage and family therapy. And so the ultimate goal is to be a marriage and family therapist. But as the course has like gone on through my program, I'm really finding that I am driven and leading towards like young adults and like premarital things and women. With that being like, first of all, young adulthood is like movies and stuff hype it up like, oh yeah, greatest time of your life, woo! And you're like, is it bills? What is this? I have car payments, I have loans, I have all this stuff. And so it's actually like a lot more confusing, and you don't really get that grace a lot. And that was something that we talked a lot about in my classes. And so right now I am one of the lady team leaders. We're called boss ladies for the young adult women at our church. And so I have that opportunity to be able to pour into young adult women and to be with them in that process. And every time we talk, it's literally like, yo, like, this is a struggle, but I'm glad I'm not the only one that's feeling this. Yeah. And so as far as marriages and things like that goes, the divorce rate is absolutely ridiculous. But I want to help couples in the beginning to have a good foundation before they go into their marriage. And I know that that's usually not common, but I want to help make that common, especially with young adults, because in colleges nowadays, especially Christian ones, there's the whole ring by spring aspect. So everyone's trying to get engaged by springtime and all that stuff. And I just want to help them to be like, okay, you know, this is great, but let's work through and see what things we can iron out before we get to that point. And I mean, you're always gonna have arguments, but let's try and have like less, like in the future. And so, yeah, that's pretty much where it is right now.
For what you've done, because you're setting examples for parents like us that don't have the answers. We're out here trial and error, trying to figure it out. But we do have a blueprint in some way, shape, or form. And ladies, you know, you're an example to me, because every day I'm preaching that there's greatness inside of people. Well, you guys are an example of showing everybody that there's greatness inside, and all you have to do is work and believe in God, and everything else is going to take care of itself. So thank you for your hard work, because what you've done is you set an example for a lot of people, that it can be done, and that, you know, it could be done well, and it could be done with God in the forefront. So thank you guys for your example to us, and thank you for exemplifying what people are trying to teach.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Labor. I loved that.
I like your favorite labor. I like the one where she said, you can't be greater until you're around greater.
And you know the name of their church.
I love it.
Greater. Yes. Well, I mean, he said it, and we adore you guys, and girls, we are cheering loud and just proud of you guys and proud. I want to share. I have like my favorite picture that I stole online of you guys, and I thought it just showed your personality. I know this COVID, has changed. With COVID and everything, gosh, graduation looked a little different, but you guys did not lay off your goals. What huge accomplishments. And you guys got a lot of people watching, but I'm so thankful that you guys know the Lord. He's giving you vision. He's giving you, and if you chase him, guess what? Your vision changes some. And as you live and grow, like the oldest sister was talking about, now that she's been in life a little bit, you kind of figure out what your gifts are and what you're called to even more. It's a journey of discovering, and we're excited because we know you guys are talking to Jesus. We know you got parents that, are praying, believing, and we're praying and believing for great things in your lives. And so anyway, congrats. We salute you guys. We're so proud, and we can't wait to see what God does. So thank y'all so much for sharing today.
Yes.
We'll have to tune in to tell me the sermon series one more time.
So it's going to be Parenting World Changers, and that will start the first Sunday in July, and we'll teach it the entire month of July. Parenting World Changers. Could have never imagined that would become so not just popular, but so needful. And if I could say, to you, to our audience, to everyone, we need to, if we celebrate family more, we'll have different results in families. I see this as an opportunity to celebrate the family dynamic, not so much our family, but just the significance. The family is the fabric of our community and of our nation, of our world. And so here it is. We're on here. We're not talking about, preaching, laying on of hands. We're not talking about prayer. All those things are important, necessary, great. But we're talking about the family dynamic. And so I'm thankful that we could have collectively the opportunity to celebrate family. And I'm hoping that there'll be those out there that'll be stimulated by that.
Listen, we're going to tune in.
We might take a trip.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Well, thanks again. You guys are amazing, and gosh, awesome examples, and we're excited. So thanks again. You guys have a great week.
Thank you. Love y'all. Bye-bye. Bye.
Okay. I wanted to give it a break to cut, but anyway, thank y'all. Seriously. Y'all did great. Obviously, you're natural at the camera. I'm gonna go find your YouTube channel for some live.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll look at it back. I don't know. I'll probably wait and post it next week because on the weekends everybody's kind of running around and doing stuff on the weekends. But we'll post next week. But seriously, thanks for sharing. And Q, we have a gift for you guys headed your way. Just to say congrats and thanks. So Pastors Ron and Hope think it's amazing, and your whole Redemption Fellowship family. I know you guys, your parents know a lot of people, they got a lot of people that love y'all and cheer for you guys that you don't even know. So anyway, congrats again.
This seriously, when she told me,
he was like,
I was like, I got to get on there with you. No, but
that never happened.
It doesn't happen.
Seriously, that has to be history, right? Seriously.
Yeah. So they're kind of looking it up now, but for sure, as I was the first in the school, first in the district, they're checking to validate if it's the first in the city or the state where you have twins that are number one and number two. So we just don't know what the results of that is yet.
Well, it's like I said, I'm going into high schools and talking to high school coaches on a daily basis. And, I've got groups of guys that I'm in charge of. And, there's one thing to be motivated about something, but there's another thing to have the discipline to do something.
Yes, sir.
When the motivation's gone, which a lot of times it will be, and y'all can probably, sometimes you're just not motivated. But to get to that goal, you still have to have the discipline.
That's right.
So for you guys to be able to do that and to be 1 and 2 and under the same roof, and it just says a whole lot. And
Yeah.
it's amazing.
You know, Brian, if I could say one more thing, and you know, I know we're off camera here now, we're just talking, but you know, you talk about the discipline part of it, and I think more unintentional than it became intentional later on in life, but unintentionally, I think our kids saw us never quit.
Right.
And because they saw us never quit, and I mean never quit anything, never quit marriage, although they saw difficulty, never quit ministry, although they saw difficulty, never quit the other endeavors that we were involved in or that God had given us over. And so I think that kind of created a discipline in them. DNA transfer that was there. And so later on in life, as we parented more, we began to be intentional about demonstrating that. But early on, I don't even think we knew that we were showing them that. We just were refusing to give up. And then it really became, it's who we are. We just don't quit.
Yeah, we work hard. Yeah. I love that.
That's good.
So Precious, are you the oldest?
Yeah.
You're good.
Yes, sorry.
You're on camera now. Whatever.
Do you so you go to you're at Fuller?
Yes.
Yeah. So are you at the campus? Is it still in Pasadena? Or are you doing online?
So yes, they have the main campus is in Pasadena, and they have a satellite Phoenix campus. So I go up once a week. Yeah, but of course, right now we're all online doing classes through Zoom. But yes.
Ashley went to Fuller. When I met her, she was in class at Fuller.
Yeah, I did a youth. So I never finished college, and that was before Jesus. But I'm in classes now at Furman. But anyway, I did do Fuller at, let's see, it was kind of like a youth program. And so, it was Urban Ministries. And I loved it. So I got to go to Pasadena twice for a whole week. And the rest was online. But it was I loved it. I loved it so much. So you guys are all y'all will all be there because the new school or the college that you guys are going to, don't tell me, Grand Canyon.
That's right.
Grand Canyon. It's how far is it from y'all's house?
It's like 2 hours away.
Oh, it is. Okay. I was thinking in Phoenix, but y'all aren't in Phoenix. Sorry.
Right, we're in Tucson.
The school is in Phoenix.
Yep.
Sorry. Okay.
She's getting the geography.
No, the quarantine.
She said quarantine. He said geography.
So y'all are gonna be empty nesters in August.
Yeah.
Dear God. Oh my gosh. That's gonna be crazy. Right? Especially after
A lot of transition. We're trying to plan for the next and the normal. The next normal.
Yeah.
Saving money.
Are any of y'all playing sports there? Are y'all focusing on school first or?
I was thinking about doing club basketball, but I don't know yet. I just figure out how it goes. Our schedule's pretty full. After the first semester, we'll probably decide and see kind of the flow of the school and then think about it. I know. There's so many sports I want to get to. I know. I don't know. We're still thinking about it.
Well, I know y'all do great things. Seriously, I don't want to keep y'all's time because I know y'all are busy and it's graduation season and y'all need to be out celebrating more for all. But thanks again, and I'll text y'all and email y'all a copy of everything when I send it out. But again, y'all are the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it. Love you guys.
Love y'all.